Just after the first practice session for the Bahrain Grand Prix for round 2 of the 2018 season, some massive breaking news has come in for this season. Thomas Fox's court case has been set to clash with the Monaco Grand Prix. The court case has officially now been announced, and after having a look at the dates for this court case, it appears that the second day of the case is set to clash with the Monaco Grand Prix, and the entire court case as a whole is set to clash the entire Monaco Grand Prix weekend. Not just the race, but practice, qualifying, and also the race. Audi have actually spoke out about this and said that this is an absolute disgrace, and we do expect Audi to appeal against the date for the court case to move it to just after the Monaco Grand Prix to allow Tom to race at Monaco. Moving on then, Mercedes-Benz are investigating the engine issue that was caused for Lewis Hamilton at the Brazilian Grand Prix. Mercedes-Benz states that there was nothing wrong with the engine prior to Lewis Hamilton's engine blowing up at the Brazilian Grand Prix. They said all the data was normal on the car and that they are very confused on why the engine actually blew up in the first place. They couldn't spot anything which led to the engine failure, and now in which, as they can't actually notice anything that went wrong, they're now investigating this officially to try and see if something else went wrong, or maybe, according to Toto Wolff, someone else might have made the engine fail. We'll get more on it as soon as we get it. And also, the final piece of news is coming from Haas, and it seems that whatever Haas is saying is not quite adding up. Haas stated from the end of the 2017 season, or just before the start of the 2018 season, that they have removed themselves from Formula 1 due to financial concerns, and that they just didn't have enough to push themselves and to get into Formula 1 for the 2018 season. According to Gunther Steiner, these sources were indeed correct, as he tried to clarify those before the start of the Brazilian Grand Prix. However, sources have now come back and shown that this might actually not be the case, and that Haas may not be in Formula 1 for completely different reasons, and it's nothing to do with finances. Other sources are claiming that Haas actually have enough finances to stay in Formula 1 for the years to come, and it's got nothing to do with that, and some believe it could be down to some major fallouts within the management team of Haas F1. So still, there is a potential possibility for Haas to return in the near future, but it all depends on if these sources are correct or if Haas genuinely do have a financial issue. Moving on then into practice for the Bahrain Grand Prix, and it was quite clear to see that Mercedes and Ferrari were very closely matched in terms of pace for this race. The gap between Mercedes and Ferrari in some parts in practice was just less than 0.2 of a second separating the top 4 drivers. Audi have actually brought some updates to their car, and it seems that it's been suiting Thomas more than it's been suiting Nico Rosberg. Rosberg believes that the Audi updates have brought the car down and put it in the wrong direction. However, in practice, it seems to have actually shot Tom further up the grid. So there's now trying to find that balance between getting a good car for Nico and getting a good one for Tom. We believe these updates include some minor performance updates and also an update to the fuel efficiency. In the Brazilian Grand Prix, Thomas complained that there was literally no point in the race where he used rich mix and literally had to save fuel all the way through and was completely defenseless because he couldn't use his rich mix. However, Nico Rosberg said that the fuel was fine. Now, obviously, the fuel system has been adjusted and Tom is much more happy with it, and so is Nico Rosberg, but the performances, not so much. Also, Red Bull and Williams are struggling for pace in practice. Red Bull seem to have dropped off the top 2 fights between Mercedes and Ferrari, and also Williams seem to be dropped down towards the back end with Toro Rosso and also with Sauber. Renault, on the other hand, also seemed pretty strong in practice. However, Sergei Sorokin seemed to struggle compared to Nico Hülkenberg. Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Foxy98 here, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the F1 Journey. Today we are here for round 2, which is the Bahrain Grand Prix, and as you can see, we're currently on board with my qualifying lap. And just wanted to say, first of all, before we get into today's episode, a massive thank you for all the love and support on the first episode. Unfortunately, in episode 1, you would have noticed that there was a lot of screen freezing problems. Basically, I can confirm that the screen freezing problems came from the rendering. The raw footage was completely fine, so there was no corruption within the raw footage. It's when it came down to actually editing and rendering out the video is where the problem lies. Now, I've done a lot of work in trying to actually fix the solution, and I've now also changed recording softwares for making these videos, because I was recording them on OBS. I've now started recording them on my Elgato, which is what I use to record all my games on Xbox. So I've now started recording with my Elgato, and we seem to be all good. So yeah, we're going to now stick to that for this race. But anyway, then coming across to the final corner here, we're actually going to come across the line and set a very solid lap time and really cement ourselves. I was feeling very good here at the Bahrain Grand Prix. I felt very good very fast, and also very consistent, which is something that I couldn't quite get the hang of in the Brazilian Grand Prix. Yes, I was able to match the top 3 teams at the Brazilian Grand Prix, but when it came down to it, I just wasn't quite consistent enough. And as you can see, we end up 4/10 slower than Lewis Hamilton, who takes his first pole position of the season, and Mercedes-Benz his second pole position in a row, thanks to obviously Ricciardo getting pole position at the Brazilian Grand Prix. But yeah, you can see that I qualified in P4, funnily enough, 1.4 seconds quicker than Nico Rosberg. So when Rosberg was complaining in the practice sessions about the updates had gone backwards, I completely disagree with that, and yeah, it seems to definitely show that I'm taking advantage of these changes compared to Rosberg. So we'll have to see how Nico can respond in the Grand Prix, because he's a little bit out of position for this race. But having a look at the strategy then, I was basically just messing around here and trying to see what was the best strategy. I've seen a lot of people in career mode races do a 1-stop, but then also some people struggle and do a 2-stop. So I wanted to put the 1-stop as an option, and also then have the 2-stop as the backup if that doesn't work. So yeah, we're just going to go with the 2-stop for now, see how we go on in the race, and go on from there as we go on to the formation lap. Hoping to have a strong Grand Prix. Of course, last time at the Brazilian Grand Prix we had a great race, and today we want to see if we can try and really challenge these top 3 teams, because I feel I can do it today. But we're on the grid here for the Bahrain Grand Prix. 5 red lights, and it is lights out, we go here to start the Bahrain Grand Prix. It's been a good start, actually, from Lewis Hamilton and also from Sebastian Vettel. Bad start, though, for Max Verstappen, who struggles off that start line. And we've already jumped him, and we're going to tuck our nose in towards this inside line, towards turn 1, down the inside of Sebastian Vettel, up straight away into second place in this Grand Prix. Vettel cuts turn 2, and already the 2 Ferraris battling hard for position. That is Sebastian Vettel alongside Max Verstappen coming towards turn 4. Who's going to come out on top here between the 2 Ferrari drivers? Vettel just holds it around the outside. Contact is made between the 2 Ferrari drivers. Verstappen loses out there, and that's going to make him pretty angry, I'm pretty sure, at Sebastian Vettel after that one, as the 2 of them make contact early on in this Grand Prix. He's lost a lot of time as well, and he's dropped back and now has to defend against, I believe it is Carlos Sainz, who is the Red Bull that was behind him in that situation. But it's all good for myself and Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton leads this race. I'm currently in second place. Sebastian Vettel is in third. And now I need to start settling myself into this race, because at the moment I know that if I'm in practice, when I was setting my lap times, I was very consistent, and I was about 4/10 maybe slower per lap than Lewis Hamilton. And then sometimes when I was having really strong laps, I was like 2/10 off the pace. So I nowhere was like quicker than Lewis Hamilton. But at this stage of the race, the gap's now 1.1 seconds, so he's already taken half a second out of me in the middle sector alone. But I just need to settle myself down, start setting these consistent lap times, and just not let Lewis Hamilton get away. If he gets away, then the strategy is not going to work in my favour. But if Lewis Hamilton stays in touching distance between myself and him, we might be able to work something on the strategy in this stage of the race. But further back now here, on the end of the first lap, Ricciardo actually was lost a position. He was lost a position to Carlos Sainz, and now he fancies getting that one back. So on board here with Ricciardo as we now charge towards turn 1. Here he comes now, attacking Carlos Sainz. It's a lovely move here with a slipstream. No DRS, of course. This is only the end of the first lap, and in towards turn 1. Ricciardo locks up. A little bit of contact made between the 2 drivers. So everyone a little bit feisty today in this Bahrain Grand Prix, as Carlos Sainz cuts all of turn 2 and slots himself back into position, and he's got a horrible run up the hill towards turn 4, and that's allowing Perez to come in for an attack now. Here comes Sergio Perez. Can he make a move up towards turn 4? More contact made. Ricciardo locks up, comes back on track, blocks Perez. Perez gets to brake test himself there, and here comes Carlos Sainz now. And unfortunately for Sergio Perez, this attack is going to be short-lived, as Carlos Sainz, more contact there made. Wow, everyone's really smashing into each other today, and he has to settle back behind, and Pierre Gasly is unfortunately going to have to wait as well. But unfortunately for Gasly, it's not going to end up too well for him, because unfortunately he's going to get overtaken by Sorokin on the end of the second lap here. Here comes Sergei Sorokin, and down the inside in towards turn 1, Sorokin actually makes the move stick. So very good stuff there from the Russian himself. And as they come flying through now, you can see that Hülkenberg is under attack as Rosberg loses a position to Fernando Alonso in all of that fight. You can see that Alonso jumps in front of my teammate Rosberg, and now you can see there's a massive 4-wide moment here between one of the Williams cars and both of the Toro Rossos. It's Robert Kubica who's down the order, starting on the soft tyres, doing a different strategy to the rest of the field, and Stoffel Van Dorn, who is also fighting a little bit out of position. He shouldn't really be this far back. Renault, McLaren have made very big changes to this season, including the Renault engine, and he shouldn't really be this far back. And can he make the move stick on Robert Kubica? Yes, he can. Just holds the move there, and Williams definitely struggling in this Grand Prix. I wouldn't expect them to be this far back normally, but yeah, they're losing out in terms of pace. But unfortunately, well, for Sorokin, he seems to just be on a mad one right now, because here comes Sergei Sorokin attacking Sergio Perez now in the Force India. Both have got DRS, but Sergei Sorokin goes down the inside, and also Hulkenberg making some moves. So it's the Renault team that are on the fight here today, and they fancy gaining a lot of places today. And here comes Hulkenberg now, side by side with Pierre Gasly, and he manages to make it stick, and Gasly moves over, but Ocon on the inside. It's 3 wide now, up towards turn 4, and there's a bit of contact made between between Ocon and Gasly. But here we can see now, side by side between the two drivers, who's going to yield? None of them are going to yield. They're both going to go for it here, and it's still side by side, lovely action, but Gasly just holds on and defends his position. But it's quite clear to see that Gasly is falling down the order, and it's not working well for him. Further back, though, we believe this is Fernando Alonso attacking Esteban Ocon. This might be for a position. It is. So Ocon now under pressure here in this race. So he was attacking Gasly, and now he's having to defend himself on Fernando Alonso. As you can see, the McLaren gets through in front of Esteban Ocon, and now my teammate Nico Rosberg looks fancy and to get past all of this fights here. And also, I believe that's Van Dorn there as well, with I believe one of the Toro Rossos there. So one of the Toro Rossos doing a great job early on in this race. But on to lap 7 of the Grand Prix now, focusing back on ourselves as all the action behind basically calmed down at this stage. We're now considering what we do in this race. We're currently leading the Grand Prix. Hamilton pitted a lap ago. Verstappen comes into the pits now for his one and only stop, and the gap between myself and Hamilton rose to about 4 seconds, give or take. And you can see there, having a look at the tyres there, they were only at 50%, and as you can see on the end of lap 10, I am now converting my strategy to a one-stop. I'm going to be converting to the one-stop. I'm going to put on a set of medium tyres. The back end slides there as the tyres go off. And yeah, I'm basically now pulling the trigger and going for the one-stop in this race, as I believe Hamilton pulled the gap out to around 4.5 seconds, give or take. But basically, he was getting away quite considerably. Verstappen was closing in on me as well, and it was quite clear to see that no matter what, I just didn't quite have the pace to really match what Hamilton and Verstappen were setting. So when I thought to myself, by going on the same tyres as them, they're basically just going to have the same pace in terms of the deficit. So I decided, let's convert this to a one-stop and go onto the mediums and go to the end and try and just see if we can get the track position. If we can get track position, defending won't be that bad. But unfortunately, you can see there, that's actually Max Verstappen who's done the undercut there on us. So obviously by pitting 3 laps earlier than me, he is obviously staying in front as we go through the entire grid to see how everyone's doing. Everyone's starting to settle down a little bit in this Grand Prix, but a driver that isn't settling down is Stoffel Van Dorn. He's now in the slipstream here of Nico Carey, and as we blast our way down the pit straight here, Van Dorn with that Renault power is just absolutely flown through here, and he is up into, I'm not really sure what position this is, but he has passed Nico Carey, and he is now pushing himself forward on the soft tyres, so everyone making their pit stops. On to lap 14 in the Grand Prix now, and the race has really calmed down at this stage, which is kind of unfortunate. But you can see here, I've actually got Daniel Ricciardo closing up on me in this race. So as you can see, I'm running my own race at the moment. Verstappen 4.5 seconds up the road, and now, unfortunately, it appears that both Ricciardo and Sebastian Vettel are a bit bored of staying behind me, basically just cruising around on my medium tyres, and they fancy having a run here. And a lap later, we are going to see Daniel Ricciardo go for a move. Will he go for it up towards turn 4? Not quite. He's not close enough yet for an attack up the hill towards turn 4. So we stay in front for the time being in this race, still maintaining P3, but on the end of lap 16, start of lap 16, you can see here Ricciardo now tries to have a look on the pit straight here, but in towards the first corner. We defend nicely from Daniel Ricciardo, and now it's actually compromised his line. That's allowed Vettel to attack Ricciardo now, so the two of them are going to be fighting away, and you can see them battling behind me, so that's now going to give me the opportunity to just slightly pull away from these two drivers and give myself a little bit of breathing room, because I can't fight too hard, because I can't afford to lose too much time to Verstappen and Hamilton, crucially, up front. If I lose too much time, then my one-stop strategy isn't going to work in my favour. So I kind of need them to not do that. It would be much appreciated if they just leave me alone in this race here on lap 16. And following on from that, you can see now that Lewis Hamilton has actually made his first stop. He is in the pits now for the second time in this Grand Prix. So this does mean that we are now going to inherit P2 in this Grand Prix. He straps on a set of medium tyres. Also, Ricciardo pits as well, I think, from this race. So both Mercedes coming into the pits. No, it's actually Vettel that pops into the pits for his second stop. So Hamilton on medium tyres, but we've got quite a considerable margin, actually. I fear that Lewis Hamilton may have been held up in the pits because he's a long way back. He's only just come out of the pit exit now. You may be able to see it on the full track map there, as Jeff tells me to change strategies to pit the super softs on the end of lap 22. I'm ignoring that. I'm going to the end of the race on these medium tyres. And as you can see now, onto lap 17, Max Verstappen now makes his second pit stop at the race. Ricciardo also makes his second pit stop into the race. And we inherit the lead of the Grand Prix. And we've got a very big gap over Lewis Hamilton. So now, it's pretty much just maintaining the gap, going to the end. 12 laps to go. And let's see if anyone can get past us, really, towards the end of the race. It's me versus Hamilton to the finish line, both on mediums. But, of course, this is a lot fresher than mine. So, on to the last lap of the Grand Prix. Nothing really happened. It was quite a quiet Grand Prix, if you ask me. The gap between myself and Hamilton down to 1.7 seconds. So he was closing a second a lap, but it just wasn't enough at the end of the day. And something I didn't expect myself to be saying at all in this Grand Prix as we come around the last corner in just our second race in our return to Formula 1, driving for Audi. We have made the one-stop work and across the line to win the Bahrain Grand Prix. It is an absolutely stunning result here today, and I couldn't be any more happier to make the one-stop work today. That was all down on strategy. We did not have the outright pace to beat the Mercedes and the Ferraris for that matter. We just didn't, but we had the strategy in our favour. The only driver to make the one-stop work. Everyone did a two-stop race today. I didn't, did the one-stop, held the track position, managed the gap between Lewis Hamilton, and we have taken the win here today. But now, let's move on to the drivers' standings. Alright, so after that crazy and hectic Bahrain Grand Prix, which provided a lot of battles everywhere, for me, I don't think I even made an overtake in that Grand Prix. I literally just ran my own race. But moving on then into the driver's standings, I forgot to include this in the first episode of the F1 Journey, so yeah, my bad. But as you can see then, Sebastian Vettel leads the championship with 37 points for Ferrari, and I'm only now 2 points behind Vettel after my first win of the F1 Journey. Of course, Vettel won round 1, and I've come through and won the second round. And Max Verstappen is also just 2 points behind me with 33 points. So very tight at the top of the championship. Carlos Sainz is in 4th for Aston Martin Red Bull Racing. The two Mercedes of Ricciardo and Hamilton line up 5th and 6th. Hamilton picking his first points up of the season. Alonso is in front of Pierre Gasly after picking up a stronger result at the Brazilian Grand Prix compared to Gasly. Perez is in 9th place. Van Dorn is in 10th. Sorokin picks up his first points of the season in 11th. Ocon down in 12th, failing to score for Force India. None of the Force Indias scored today. And Nico Rosberg picking up his first point of the season as well for Audi. And as you can see, both Williams cars, both Toro Rossos, and both BMWs failed to score points. And also Hulkenberg is yet to score points actually in the journey. So yeah, he might want to try and pick it up because Sorokin picking up some points for Renault. They're going to need it. And after a strong start, obviously tailed down for Renault in the early stages of the race. But onto the Constructors' Championship now. Ferrari have a commanding lead at the top of the F1 Journey Constructors' Championship with 70 points already after just 2 rounds. So they're looking dominant here at this 2018 season. Mercedes are 30 points back already with 40 points to their name. But of course, it is very close between Mercedes, Audi and Aston Martin Red Bull. With Audi, myself, with 36 points. Red Bull just behind with 35 points in this championship. McLaren with 14 points. Force India have 5. Renault have 2. And Williams, Toro Rosso and BMW do not have a point as of yet. But guys, that is going to be it for the F1 Journey Part 2. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, feel free to drop it a like. And if you are new around here as well, feel free to click the subscribe button if you enjoy the content you do see. And next week, you will find out if the appeal for the court case regarding the clash with the Monaco Grand Prix with Audi, you'll find out if Audi actually do appeal this Grand Prix ban. And also, will the appeal be accepted? You'll have to find out next week as the F1 Journey kicks up a gear going into round 3. Take care all, guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.